Ready, set, adventure! Welcome to Hikanuki World Tour and Day 2 on the NCL Aqua. We're anchored near NCL's private island, Great Stirrup Cay. We'll enjoy a beautiful day at the beach. Grab some food and drink, watch the zipliners, then head back to the ship for teppanyaki and live music. Today we're arriving at Norwegian Cruise Line's private island, Great Stirrup Cay in the Bahamas. The ship arrived at 7 in the morning with the last tender leaving at 2 p.m. It's about 8:30 in the morning and not many people are at the pool deck. Looks like most will be getting off to explore the island. But inside at the Surfside Cafe buffet, the crowds are gathering. We found buffet selections for breakfast to be pretty basic. But our biggest complaint about the buffet was the space around it was just too small and got very hectic and chaotic.
Washi, happy, happy!
There was barely room for two-way traffic, and you had to be careful that you didn't get bumped and drop your plate. There was indoor and outdoor seating, but it filled up quickly.
Good morning! Welcome to the Surfside Buffet. Just to let everybody know, we also have complimentary buffet lunch at the island that will start at 10:30. You can also make use of your drinking package at the island in the Great Stirrup Cay, and there's complimentary water, juice, coffee, and tea there for you to consume.
This was our first time to visit NCL Stirrup Cay. We've been to Royal Caribbean's Perfect Day at Cay, so we thought we pretty much knew what to expect. We were excited to try somewhere new. We've always had a great time at Perfect Day, so we're anxious to compare the two. Instead of eating at the buffet, we headed up to the Observation Lounge on Deck 17. They serve quick bites all throughout the day. It looks like you could have the pool pretty much all to yourself if you just stay on board. The Observation Lounge on Deck 17 is one of those places that takes people a few days to find. On the first few days of our cruise, it was uncrowded, but as the cruise progressed, people began to discover it. Breakfast, it's a good place to get a quick bite. Just stay away from the hot items because they have really no way to keep them warm. But pastries, fruit, and cereal are always good choices. They also offer light snacks here in the late afternoon. There's a full bar here as well as complimentary drinks. I'd say this was more like orange-colored juice versus orange juice. We found the pastries were good, but the egg bites were cold. You're better off getting those at Indulge Food Hall. Someone else asked if they could be microwaved, but the crew member said no, they didn't have a microwave, so it wasn't just us. The Observation Lounge is a very nice, relaxing place with lots of comfortable seating.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a message to all our guests without any tender groups. Please, right now, proceed to the deck.
So by about 9:30, all guests could go ashore whether or not you had a tender ticket. It was a rather circuitous tour of Deck 7 to find the gangway. If you're keeping score, Royal Caribbean is ahead of NCL because NCL makes you tender to their private island. If you're not familiar with tendering, that means your ship was too big to get to shore and you have to take a smaller boat. The process, more often than not, is tedious and time-consuming. If you get your tender tickets in advance, you'll be assigned a boarding group number and board when that group is called. We weren't in a hurry, so we just waited for general boarding. My favorite part about tendering is the unique views you get of the ship. It looks like 2 Royal Caribbean ships are docked at Cay. Be sure to use caution when getting on the tender. It's about a 10-minute tender ride from the ship over to the island. The last tender would leave the island at 2 o'clock, but they warned us to get in line at least an hour prior. So that was going to give us about 3 hours to enjoy Great Stirrup Cay. At that point, we felt like we probably should have gotten up a little earlier. We didn't have any plans or excursions booked, so it was really going to be just a beach day for us. And maybe 3 hours would be plenty to enjoy the hot Caribbean sun. And here comes my favorite part of the tender ride, looking back at the beautiful ship. It was a beautiful day and the turquoise water was sparkling. NCL is in the process of building a pier, so in the future, tendering will not be necessary. When you look at the artwork on the hull of the NCL Aqua, it gives a very pop art feel, but the interiors are very elegant and subdued. The waters today were very clear and not very choppy. I guess if you think of the tender ride as a mini excursion, maybe that makes it a little more enjoyable. And there's the distinctive lighthouse coming into view. It looks like construction of the pier has already begun. Sorry, tender boats, you won't be needed too much longer. This channel would have been a little narrow for the Aqua to navigate. For an additional charge, several activities are available. You can rent snorkel equipment, paddle boards, or kayaks, and ziplining is a very popular activity. There are also cabanas available to rent, as well as an exclusive area called Silver Cove. But there were ample lounge chairs available, so you don't have to spend any extra money. And now it was time to file out and explore the island. Once on the island, you'll see some familiar faces, as crew from the ship also work on the island. Make sure to note what time the last tender leaves so you don't get left behind. Be prepared to do quite a bit of walking on Great Stirrup Cay. For your convenience, they do have strollers and wheelchairs equipped with sand wheels. In this video, we're just going to show some highlights of Great Stirrup Cay. We'll have a more comprehensive exploration in a separate video. The highlight here, of course, are the white sand beaches and clear blue waters. Your first order of business will most likely be finding a chair. On our visit, we were the only ship there, and there were plenty of chairs to choose from. We were surprised to learn that a single umbrella rental was $29, while clamshells were $49. Plus, you couldn't use your onboard credit to cover that cost. On our visit, it was very hot and humid, and the clear, shallow waters were refreshing. Your drink package, if you have it, is honored here. You'll find carts and bars scattered throughout. Some of the bars specialize in one particular type of drink, so you might not be able to get everything at the same place. Many of the lines tended to get long. I think for many of the crew, this was their first time working here, and they were still learning the ropes. The bars did have tables under umbrellas where you could sit for free. The long lines were quite frustrating, so hopefully NCL can come up with a solution. Because it's our first visit to Great Stirrup Cay, I don't know if this is always a problem or just unique to the Aqua. There was no waiting at the self-service juice and water station.
Welcome to Great Stirrup Cay.
Thank you.
Welcome to Island.
Don't worry, you won't go hungry at Great Stirrup Cay. The buffet was open from 10:30 until 1. It offered standard picnic foods like hot dogs and hamburgers, fresh fruit, salads, and even pizza. I'd say the food here was comparable to what they have at the ship's buffet. It's good, but not really outstanding. But it is convenient and certainly beats going all the way back to the ship. And there was a wide, plentiful variety. There were also smaller specialty food trucks. I thought their food was superior to the buffet. The stirred up barbecue station had similar things, but for some reason they just tasted fresher. There's also a taco truck that we liked. And there was a little hot dog cart. Put down that ketchup.
No!
Here's how you dress a hot dog. After all that eating and drinking, it's time to check out some of the other activities offered at Great Stirrup Cay, some of which come at an additional charge. Probably the most popular activity was the zip line, and there were 3 courses to choose from. Did you know that lighthouse is actually a zip line tower? Prices ranged from $99 to $139, with child rates at $79. If you're going to try this, remember to bring shorts and shirts, as no bathing suits are allowed, and closed heel shoes. Although you can rent shoes if you forget. If ziplining's not for you, maybe you'd like to rent some snorkel gear or get some exercise on a paddleboard. Looking for something more leisurely? Why not rent a mat or a float? And who doesn't love a giant chess game in the sand? Show off your skills with a game of bags, or create a thing of beauty in the sand. For a more luxurious day of leisure, rent a cabana. The classic cabana is for up to 6 people, and on our sailing it was $599 for the day, but prices can vary depending on sailing. For an even more luxe experience, check out the private retreat at Silver Cove. Villas here cost between $900 and $1,300. So that's a look at what you can expect on NCL's private island, Great Stirrup Cay. If you're looking for a beautiful, relaxing beach day, this should do the trick. Having visited Royal Caribbean's Coco Cay, I did think that Great Stirrup missed the mark in some areas. But they do have plans for improvements and expansions in the works, so I think it will only get better. We did enjoy our day, but I think our expectations were just a little too high. It's about 1 o'clock, and the last tender leaves in an hour, so we better head back and see what that process looks like. Here's one last look at that beautiful beach. And it looks like everyone had the same idea. If you're a Haven or Suite guest, they did give you priority and walked you to the front of the line. But the rest of us were not so lucky. Thankfully, most of the line was out of the sun. I think I forgot to mention that you do have to bring your own towels off the ship. And here we go, back on the tender. Looks like most of the crew are returning now as well. One of the bartenders we spoke to said she had to be on the island at 6:30 in the morning and only had an hour break before going back to work on the ship. It took us over an hour from the time we lined up for the tender until we stepped back onto the Aqua. I know this is a new ship, but it seemed to have a number of logistical issues that really need to be resolved, or people will get too frustrated and not want to return. A little treat awaited us on our return. Since we were hot and tired, we decided to head for the pool and grab a frozen drink. I discovered the Mango Meltdown on a different NCL cruise, and I'll just say it never disappoints. This is a frozen strawberry, mango, and rum drink, and I highly recommend it on a hot day. To top off our busy day, we spent some time in the hot tub. And what a great place to watch a sail away. It's good news to hear that NCL is going to update the island a bit, because it's a beautiful place. It just was missing a few things. After a little more relaxation, we headed back to the cabin to change for the evening. And we're heading back to sea. It was back to the Observation Lounge for some late afternoon snacks. It looks like it's still a hidden gem. Tonight we're having dinner at the specialty restaurant Hasuki, the Japanese Teppanyaki or Hibachi restaurant. And the crew are back to work after their day on the island. We need a little snack to re-energize, and the Observation Lounge is just the place. They typically have sandwiches, and today they had focaccia bread and quiche. As with breakfast, the hot items here were more lukewarm than hot, but I did enjoy the flavors of this mushroom quiche. This brie cheese sandwich had a drizzle of honey on it, which elevated it. Stop by Deck 7 for any internet questions. You'll also find guest services here. Grab a coffee at Starbucks, or just find a chair and relax and watch the water. The Whisky Bar is located on Deck 6 and is just outside our teppanyaki restaurant. Personally, I'm not a whiskey drinker, but I enjoyed perusing the menu. It was filled with facts and stories about whiskey, and was really more interesting than it probably sounds. That blue label looks a little shaky up there. If you're a whiskey drinker, certainly don't miss this bar. Bartenders went above and beyond, were friendly and knowledgeable, and we enjoyed sitting here. It became one of our favorite bars on the ship, whiskey drinker or not. There were some interesting and unique selections on the menu. My husband went with the jackhammer, and our friend had the old-fashioned. You probably don't want to get a Moscow Mule in a whiskey bar. It wasn't the best. The whiskey drinks were the standouts, and we definitely came back later. Although whiskey isn't my cup of tea, wine sure is, and around the corner was the Swirl Wine Bar. It was tucked back in the hallway and tiny. It felt like a space that they didn't want you to find, and it was nearly impossible to find seating for 4. But we didn't have time to linger anyway, so we went over to Hasuki. If you're looking for an exciting and delicious specialty restaurant, I think you can't go wrong with the teppanyaki restaurants. The biggest negative is that it is very loud. That's part of the fun, but if you don't like background noise, you may not have a good evening. But I think the food is outstanding and the portion sizes are massive. You'll definitely feel like you got your money's worth. Every meal starts with miso soup and salad. The miso soup and seaweed salad are pretty basic, but there's something that just makes them stand out. There's dipping sauces for your meats.
Before I start, I will wash my hands first. Washi.
Happy.
Happy. Good evening. Welcome to Hasuki. My name is Mark. I'll be a Japanese chef for tonight, all the way from the Philippines. But before I start, with the warm up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations, it's a baby boy. Yeah, you're a boy. Please and shout. Hello. This is me you're looking for. I am not on the dome. I am not on the dome. Diet Coke. Falling in love with you. Everything here is Japanese except for me. Yes, by the way, if you want more rice, just let me know. Anything I can help you out, just let me know. Yeah. Japanese vegetable burger. Sir. Yes, Also, we have chicken. Alright. Anyone would like more rice?
Oh, no.
Rice.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. Like one more, I got one more. Want to hear a construction joke? Want to hear a construction joke? Yes. I'm still working on it.
Among the four of us, we tried pretty much every entree, and everyone was equally happy. This was a fun experience, and the food was top-notch. Overall, this was a 5 shaka experience, and we highly recommend it. After dinner, it was on to Sid Norman's Poorhouse for tonight's show, Rock the Poorhouse. We arrived about 30 minutes prior to the show, and as you can see, it's a very small venue. But the shows are always entertaining, and the band comes right out into the audience. Let's watch.
You may not know it, but you are sitting in the temple of rock history.
That's right, you guys! Sid Norman was one of the most prolific music promoters of all time. How do I get you love?
Hilarious.
the casino.
Wow.
Oh, that last one. Come on. 7.
Go, I really wanna go. Work all night till the morning come. Till I go out, shop banana till the sun comes up. Till I go, I really wanna go. One is free. Got to be good looking 'cause it's so hard to see. Come together right now. Miss the earth so much, miss my wife. It's lonely out this day, haunting out of place. She makes it fast calls out. Let me be better time, but I guess I'm never the better. Just now, till the winter let me fall so far in now. Come out round by a wicked machine, dreaming of a Chevy on blue jeans. Don't let the sun go down on me. Though I said myself, it's always someone else I see. Some of your friends all alive. Wonder free. Oh, but to lose everything is like the sun going down on me.
And with that, it looks like the sun went down on a very busy day. Tomorrow's a sea day, so we'll be able to spend more time exploring the ship and catching up on our rest. Thanks for joining us today at Hikanuki World Tour on day 2 on the NCL Aqua. Our travel wisdom for today: give me salty air, messy hair, and sunshine. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and follow us on Instagram. And hit that notifications button so you'll be notified when new videos are dropped.